Many wrestling fans experience various nightmares about wrestling, but the one that feels a bit too real to handle is Goldberg returning to WWE and winning the Universal Championship. It hits a bit too hard. I'll explain why it kinda makes sense though, whether you like it or not. Like the video. On the other hand, the one dream that is always welcomed by wrestling fans is CM Punk returning to professional wrestling. Turns out it's very possible now, and let's just say, I'll be watching very closely. We'll also talk about stuff like Vince McMahon sending a bunch of bigger people to Performance Center to learn how to wrestle, and that includes Keith Lee, but it does not include Nia Jax. I think it does not include Nia Jax. Why would it not include Nia Jax? Please include Nia Jax. She needs to learn to wrestle. How? Why? Seriously? For real? Not Nia Jax. You're not sending Nia Jax, right? You should be sending Nia Jax. Nia Jax does not know how to wrestle. Keith Lee but not Nia? Seriously, wow. Really? Wow. So we'll talk about CM Punk, Goldberg, The Rock, Keith Lee, and WrestleMania plans.
Good morning, everybody.
I'm not gonna hurt you.
My family. Drew McIntyre.
Farming is gambling. Why would I watch the show?
A little bit of the bubbly.
I'd much rather be at home.
How is it going, people? Welcome to your favorite wrestling show on the internet. Welcome to Greatness of Wrestling. I finally made a new intro, and I think I'll keep doing this show at least once a week, because I kind of want to change the format a bit, you know? For the most part, it's always a 10-minute video. I kind of want to make it into a semi-podcast, if that makes any sense. For example, I want these videos to be 20 minutes long, 30 minutes long, at least 15 minutes long, which is the most likely scenario. But I just want these videos to be a bit more laid back and, you know, treat it like almost a podcast. So let's talk about our boy CM Punk. So my man went on Renee Young's podcast, and Renee, being an awesome woman that she is, asked a lot of hard-hitting questions. For example, what would it take for you to come back to professional wrestling? And the answer will shock you, perhaps grow a couple of inches on your pee-pee, because I think he's coming back. Without wanting to insult anybody on either side of the fence, any WWE talent or AEW talent, it would take above all an interesting scenario, a story that would be fun to tell, also just the stupidest amount of money, but they could save themselves a whole lot of money if they just presented a fun storyline. Now, what that is, I don't know. I'm a pretty picky guy, especially at this point. So essentially what he's trying to say, all he wants is a great story. And money, but also a great story. You can see how much over the years CM Punk changed his position when it comes to wrestling, his opinion, and whether he's going to return or not. Like a couple of years ago, he was like, never, ever. Never, ever, never. Never. What I'm trying to say is, he said he's never coming back. But every year, it seems like he kinda wants to, but he's waiting for a perfect opportunity. What he basically said right now is that if you give me a good amount of money and you give me a great storyline that would intrigue me, I'm coming back. Now, whether that's WWE or AEW, we don't know. At this point, I think I would love to see him in AEW a bit more, you know, because I believe it would be a great ratings booster, great for AEW, and if CM Punk was disrespected by the WWE so many times, and if he doesn't want to work with them anymore, just go to AEW. I think that would be very beneficial for the company. If Vince and Tony are smart enough, they're gonna try to get that guy, because right now, the interest in wrestling is not at all-time high, let's be honest. We should be getting an audience soon, so hopefully one of these companies will pick up CM Punk. It's a dead topic at this point, you know, talking about CM Punk's return. I understand that. It's like beating a dead horse. It's like injecting more steroids into Ryback. He's not gonna get any bigger right now. But at this point in professional wrestling, this is the biggest thing possible. Speaking of Punk, he basically roasted the entire WWE roster. A lot of it has to do with circumstance, but everyone else on the shows should feel embarrassed at the fact that Pat McAfee is a better promo than everyone on the shows. Damn, I think there is a logical explanation to this, because, Pat McAfee is very criticized by the fans. He's not necessarily a wrestler. He wasn't a wrestler. And a lot of people didn't respect the guy, so WWE are going to put a lot more effort into Pat McAfee's promos than everyone else on the roster. Everyone else on the roster is going to have this generic WWE promo, and I believe this guy got the best stuff. Now, I don't watch NXT, I've only seen some highlights, and I gotta admit, man, I'm actually impressed with this guy. He's better than most of the wrestlers. Not necessarily in the ring, he's still a newbie, but he has a lot of talent and potential, great on the microphone. When it comes to CM Punk, well, that's just Punk being Punk. The man still doesn't give a shit. Welcome to highest level journalism, where we have the scoop that nobody else has. I give you the scoop, you listen to my scoop, and you will never ever hear the same scoop on the other side. Let's get into the news. Retired professional wrestlers no longer have to go to the WWE doctor to get cleared. That job goes to marks on Twitter. They will tell you if you should wrestle or should not wrestle. Hopefully Bret Hart is coming soon. So in 2020, we lost an audience, and that really hurt the wrestling business. WWE, AEW, but it seems like in Impact Wrestling, everything's back to normal. So Brock Lesnar left the WWE, we all know that, but it seems like Brock Lesnar is thinking about wrestling for Impact Wrestling. He doesn't like people. Scoop. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode of highest level journalism. Forget about Alvarez, Meltzer, all these other losers. This is where you'll get the actual news. This is where you get the scoop. While everyone wants a CM Punk return, another return that is not as welcome by the fans is Goldberg returning to the WWE. So on WWE Bump, Goldberg said he's coming for Roman Reigns. A lot of people hate that idea. Roman Reigns, on the other hand, said that he's picking his own opponents. And now he's picking Kevin Owens at TLC. Just an absolute savage. I love you, Roman. I know a lot of people hate this idea of Goldberg versus Roman Reigns. But as much as you don't like it, what you need to understand that it makes perfect sense. Goldberg versus Roman Reigns is an attraction match. And people who are angry at this need to understand that an attraction match will make WWE way more money than a potential 5-star match. For example, let's take Goldberg versus Roman Reigns and AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins. Everyone with a brain knows that AJ Styles versus Rollins has a lot more potential when it comes to having a great match. But Goldberg versus Reigns is way more marquee. It's an attraction match. People are not watching for the greatest match ever. They're watching because it has two big names. A perfect example of this is all these YouTubers right now facing pro boxers. We're getting Logan Paul versus Floyd. You think people are excited because Logan Paul is a great boxer? People are gonna watch because YouTubers are making boxing relevant again. They're making it popular again. They'll also watch because they want to see Logan Paul getting knocked out. That's how it works in 2020. It's unfair, but that's how it is. Talent doesn't mean shit when it comes to making money. It's all about popularity. Like I've said, it's not fair, but that's how it works. I would be excited if it happened at Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, anywhere. I just don't really want to see it at WrestleMania. But as long as the story is good, I wouldn't really mind it. But so far the story is, who has the best spear? I've also heard that The Rock is open, to a match against Roman Reigns, but I've heard it's only in 2022. So I guess WrestleMania 38, Reigns versus Rock, WrestleMania 37, Goldberg versus Reigns. Not the most exciting match, but good enough for WrestleMania, definitely. I'm just saying, I understand why people are angry, but you also need to understand why it kinda makes sense for WWE to do these kind of matches. It makes them the most money. So let's talk about Vince McMahon sending a bunch of talent to Performance Center. So Vince McMahon sent Keith Lee, Otis, Dabu Kato, Dio Madden, and AJ's bodyguard to improve their in-ring work in the Performance Center. Look, I know people are angry, and I don't really get this as well, but there are two ways you can look at it. The first one is obviously being a bit confused because Keith Lee is an amazing wrestler. Like, we all know that. Why would you send that guy in the Performance Center if he's already great? Like, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It seems like Vince McMahon feels weird about Keith Lee. You know, he changed his theme song, attire, and he keeps changing up that guy every week, it seems like. I don't really understand this, and obviously people are angry. You know, people think he's gonna be a main eventer, and now it seems like Vince McMahon is doing this weird crap. On the other hand, don't you think that it's actually a good idea? Maybe Vince McMahon feels like he could make Keith Lee even better. Maybe he feels like these people are already great, but they could be even better. I don't know. I'm just saying, Vince is a weird guy. He eats everything with ketchup. He doesn't sleep. That's Vince McMahon, so it's a possibility. We all know Vince McMahon likes large wrestlers, so I don't really think he's trying to bury them. I think he believes they could improve. Whether you agree with that or not, that's another topic. I have one question and one question only. Why isn't Nia Jax among these superstars that went to the Performance Center? Nia Jax is not a good wrestler. Nia Jax is not a good professional wrestler. Nia Jax is not a great wrestler. That's just what I'm trying to say. She's not a great wrestler. She's not a good wrestler. She's not an okay wrestler. She sucks. She botches all the time. Why isn't she in the Performance Center? I don't understand this. If we're sending talented people to learn, why are we not sending Nia Jax? We should send Nia Jax. Nia Jax should learn, man. Let's talk about WrestleMania 37 and current WWE plans. So WrestleMania 37 rumored matches are Goldberg versus Roman Reigns. Already told you how I feel about this one. Could be great. I just not excited for it at WrestleMania since we all want Rock versus Reigns at this point, right? Edge versus Randy Orton. There's definitely a story to be told, you know? Randy Orton injured Edge. That's what it makes the most sense. Edge making his return at Royal Rumble perhaps, and attacking Randy Orton and maybe winning the Royal Rumble match, and Randy Orton is the champion. A lot of possibilities. I've heard it could be a WWE Championship match. We don't know as of yet. I've also heard they talked about Edge versus The Fiend. Another great match because, as you can imagine, the promos would be amazing. Edge improved so much, you know, since being a movie star, and every time he's talking, you believe it. So there's a great story to be told. Also, Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar versus Keith Lee, which I imagine is a WWE Championship match. Now, this match makes me believe that all of this is BS. I don't think this is a match we're gonna get. Looks like something that Marks would basically say, you know what, instead of Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar, we should have a triple threat match, yeah. I'm honestly seeing people who believe that I'm talking about the first WrestleMania where we had Rock versus Cena, which was 28. People said that a more marquee match is not John Cena versus The Rock, it's John Cena, The Rock, and CM Punk. And I'm not talking about WrestleMania 29, I get it. They're talking about WrestleMania 28. Like, that's why Vince McMahon doesn't listen to you. You don't know how money works. That triple threat match, you know, Lesnar, Drew, and Keith, sounds great. I believe that has potential to be one of the best triple threat matches we ever saw, at least at WrestleMania. I just don't see that happening at all, and I don't really understand what kind of story it would be. I don't know. Drew versus Lesnar, I kinda wanna see it, you know, with an audience, so I wouldn't really mind, I guess. I just miss Lesnar. Lesnar could face Nia Jax, and honestly, that is the biggest match. Yeah, that is my dream match. Lesnar versus Nia Jax. No, I like Nia. I'm just, you know, joking. I love Nia. love Nia. Anyway, people, that's all I have for you today. New segments are coming. Hopefully you've enjoyed the highest level journalism. Thank you for watching the video. The great one. Peace, love, and hugs. It's been a pleasure.